Welcome to one of, if not the most requested videos from my friend Brooke, who has been bugging me to make this on camera since before I even started the channel. We're making whipped feta today. So the whipped feta it's something that I had in a restaurant in Boston that my wife were at before an I Prevail and Hailstorm concert. It was absolutely amazing. It was a good appetizer. They had it served with sauteed tomatoes, which sometimes I do. They had it with crostini, things like that. I'm making it as both a dip and as a topper for some Greek burgers I'm making for my in-laws tomorrow. So it's real simple, especially if you actually prep everything ahead of time and don't leave stuff put away like I just did. But you're gonna start with 8 ounces of a block of feta cheese. Now, you can use the crumbles. However, I've done that and it doesn't come out to the right consistency, so like the creamy blocks of feta usually work a little bit better. And again, it's better if you're prepared, but I like leaving this stuff in because, you know, some people like to see a real person who's not perfect making things. And yes, I do listen to feedback. All right, so we got a block of feta. I'm using a blender instead of a food processor because I'm also going to be making tzatziki later. And for those of you that watched that video, when I made the tzatziki in the blender, it was way too thin. And ironically, I had made, that day when I did that, I had made the whipped feta in the food processor, and it was a little too thick because of a different brand of feta I was using. So, you know, adapt, overcome, improvise. Next, we're adding 1/4 cup of full-fat Greek yogurt. Now, I'm not sure if I've talked about this on the channel, but I have been and still am in the process of losing weight. I lost over 75 pounds. And this is some of the stuff that I would still cook and eat while doing that, because you can have real food. But I just wanted to, show that so people will think, oh, well, you're using real whole milk feta, so that causes a problem. But you just have to measure everything and make sure that you stay where you need to be. Next, we're adding 2 tablespoons of a robust extra virgin olive oil. And why I said robust specifically is because if you go to the store, you'll see there's different ones and they have slightly different flavor profiles. And for this, you want the stronger one. Now, full disclosure, I have never done this with mint before, though it's part of the recipe that I pilfered. But I was actually able to find a batch of mint that didn't look terrible. So we're going to add some in. And it's only gonna be a tablespoon of fresh chopped mint, but if you want more, if it's too minty, add some other stuff. But I'm just gonna chop some of that up. And like I mentioned once before with garlic, with mint, if you chop it up first, you're gonna express those flavors a little bit more than if you just put it in there. So you wanna give it time to do just that. Now, because it's a fresh herb, which is what you really should be using in this recipe, sometimes you'll notice if you use a fresh herb, a tablespoon feels like too little. But if you use a dry herb, a tablespoon is too much. So we're just getting a little bit extra. I mentioned this should be done with fresh herbs, but I went to 3 grocery stores, couldn't find any fresh basil. So we're slumming it today with some of this basil here. Again, unprepared. We're gonna do a tablespoon of the basil and a tablespoon of oregano as well. And the oregano is another thing that I added simply because I love the taste of oregano. It's not something that you would find typically in this, but it's something that I enjoy, so I add it. Basil, some fresh cracked pepper. So good. If you're gonna use this as a dip, it's very good with, and this is very specific, but Lay's has a spicy southern barbecue chip. It is amazing paired with that. And again, I know that's very specific, but it's something that works really well. Their hot honey chips also work pretty good. So, and this works great with like spicy chips is basically what I'm getting at. For some reason, just flavor profile that matches well. Now we're gonna juice 1 lemon. We're gonna zest half of this bad boy, which is why I cut it first. You don't want it to be overpowering with the lemon, but you do want to have a good lemon flavor in there. So I'm only doing half of a lemon zest while we're still doing the lemon juice. Now, unlike some of the other things I've made or showed you guys, this is something that you don't want to make too far in advance. And the reason for that has to do with the chemistry of citrus fruit and dairy. Citrus fruit can cause dairy to go bad and curdle a lot faster than if it was on its own. So you really want to make this like the day before at the very least. So I'm using this tomorrow and I'm making it tonight. It's already 8:30 at night. So it's not too soon, not too early for it to be good and useful. I was gonna make sure you catch those seeds. Good. And now, I'm just gonna give it a good blend. And this is another one of those things where, oh, I actually forgot to step, look at me. We're also going to add 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Now you can use fresh garlic. 1 tablespoon is a little bit more than 1 fresh garlic clove, but I'm using the minced garlic mainly for how it's gonna be as far as like texture and flavor goes. You're gonna get a little bit more flavor out of that, and it's gonna keep with that texture without having to deal with, you know, the garlic skin and all that crap anyway. All right. Give this good pulses, get everything down. And you can usually tell if it's working or if it's the consistency you want. Like right now, it looks a little thick still, so I'm probably gonna add a little bit more olive oil because it also smells very lemony. So to contrast that acid, you want to add something with fat. So wow. So olive oil and a little bit more yogurt being the answers to that. I'm just gonna give it a pulse again real quick. That way we can make sure that our assessment is correct. Yep, definitely needs a little bit more. So we're gonna add a tiny bit more yogurt, a tiny bit more of the olive oil. Make sure that, you know, the yogurt you added to thin it out doesn't stick to the side like that. That was a fail, huh? Yeah, this is great. I've used this also when I made a lamb harissa pizza. I used this as the cheese on it, and the tzatziki as like an extra sauce on top of everything, and it was absolutely wonderful. All right, it's a little bit better. Grab a spoon and give it a quick try. Tastes good, but it could use a tiny bit more oil. And this is one of those things where, yes, there's a recipe and yes, there's amounts and everything, but sometimes the batch of cheese you get, or you get a certain brand of yogurt that's a little bit more runny, you're gonna have to alter things a little bit here and there, and that's perfectly normal. That looks much better consistency-wise. But yeah, that is one of my most requested videos. You can thank my friend Brooke. She's been asking for this probably, I want to say for like 4 months. So I promised her it would be one of the first videos I did, and that ended up being a lie. So here we go. I made it now for her, and I can go on with my life without being bothered about it. But hey, like I said, it's great on chips, great with a crostini, great with you know, any kind of side as an add-on to sauteed tomatoes, balsamic chicken, anything like that. It's wonderful. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy.